All right, so today we are diving deep into Stoicism.
Yeah.
We've got a whole stack of YouTube videos on it, and you know, I'm always looking for that ancient wisdom stuff
Right.
that can really be applied today, and especially we're looking for practical ways to build unshakable emotional strength,
hmm
a deep dive into resilience Stoicism style.
It's fascinating how these ideas, they were developed centuries ago, but they still resonate so strongly today.
Yeah.
They really offer a timeless toolkit, I think, for navigating the inevitable curveballs life throws our way.
Totally. So let's jump right in. The first thing that struck me was this concept of living according to nature. Now, before you picture us all, off hugging trees in the wilderness.
Right, let's not get carried away.
Yeah.
It's not about literally becoming one with nature. It's more about understanding human nature,
Okay.
our social instincts, and our capacity for reason, and then using reason to navigate the complexities of life, both for our own benefit and for the good of others.
It's like taking this ancient philosophy and turning it into a guide for modern living.
Exactly.
I'm intrigued. And speaking of modern living, one of the challenges we all face is feeling overwhelmed by things we can't control.
hmm
That's where the Stoic idea of the dichotomy of control comes in.
Imagine you're up for a promotion at work.
Okay.
It's something you really want, but you're feeling super anxious about it.
hmm
How can this Stoic idea help you deal with that anxiety?
Well, that's a great question. It makes me think about how much mental energy we waste worrying about things that are ultimately outside our control.
Exactly. The
Mm.
dichotomy of control helps us realize that while we can control our effort and preparation, we can't control the outcome.
Oh, yeah.
It's like an archer aiming for the bullseye.
Right.
You can practice your technique, focus your mind, and put your all into the shot, but you can't guarantee that arrow will hit the mark.
So instead of stressing about whether or not I get the promotion, I should focus on what I can actually influence.
Yes.
My performance, my skills, my attitude.
Precisely. It's about shifting your energy from worry and anxiety to action and effort. And, the Stoics had a great sense of humor about this. Epictetus, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, said, "Don't worry about death. Worry about lunch."
Okay, I love that. It puts things in perspective.
Right.
Death is inevitable, but lunch is something you can actually do something about.
Right. It's a reminder to focus on what's actionable, what's within your sphere of influence. But Stoicism isn't just about controlling your reactions. It also provides a framework for ethical living through the four cardinal virtues:
Okay.
practical wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance.
Now, those sound a little intense. Can we break those down into something a little more, well, practical for everyday life?
Absolutely. Think of it this way. Let's say you witness someone being treated unfairly.
Mm-hmm.
How can the virtue of courage guide your actions in that moment? Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between speaking up or staying silent?
Wow, that's a powerful way to frame it. Suddenly, these virtues feel a lot more relevant. So courage is about acting in accordance with what you know is right, even when it's difficult.
Exactly. And practical wisdom helps you discern what right actually is. Justice is about fairness and integrity in your interactions with others. And temperance is all about balance and self-control.
It's like having a moral compass, but with extra resilience built in.
I like that. It really captures the essence of what the Stoics were aiming for.
Yeah.
To illustrate these virtues in action, Epictetus shares a story about a father who's so distraught over his sick daughter that he leaves her bedside.
Oh, wow.
He simply can't bear the emotional turmoil. This highlights the conflict between our natural feelings and our ethical duties.
Wow, that's a tough one. It really makes you think about how Stoicism challenges us to rise above our immediate emotional reactions and consider the bigger picture, our responsibilities, and what's truly important.
Exactly. It's not about suppressing our emotions, but about not letting them dictate our actions.
Yeah.
And that leads us to the concept of role ethics, the idea that we all play multiple roles in life: human being, family member, professional friend.
Okay.
And finding balance between these roles is key.
Okay. Role ethics. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Think of it this way. Each role comes with certain duties and expectations.
Okay.
As a friend, for example, you might feel obligated to offer comfort and support when a friend is going through a tough time. As a professional, you have responsibilities to your colleagues and clients.
Mm-hmm.
The key is to fulfill these roles with integrity, using the four cardinal virtues as our guide.
So before I react to a frustrating coworker, I should pause and ask myself, would a good human being, a virtuous person, react this way? It's like adding a layer of ethical awareness to my everyday interactions.
Precisely. And the Stoics believe that our fundamental role as human beings should inform all our other roles. Before acting, ask yourself, is this action good for humanity as a whole?
Wow, that's a powerful question to consider. It really elevates the stakes, doesn't it?
It does. And the videos talk about the importance of role models, both ancient and modern, who embody these Stoic principles.
Okay.
The ancient Stoics looked to figures like Cato the Younger, known for his unwavering integrity, and Odysseus, who endured years of hardship to return home to his family.
Those are some pretty high standards. What about modern day examples? Are there people today who embody these Stoic ideals?
Absolutely. Think of Nelson Mandela, who chose forgiveness and reconciliation over vengeance after being imprisoned for decades.
Wow.
Or Susan Fowler, who bravely spoke out against a toxic work environment, even though it put her own career at risk.
I love that you brought up Susan Fowler. It shows how these ancient principles can be applied to very modern challenges.
Exactly. And hey, even Spider-Man embodies Stoic principles.
Really?
With great power comes great responsibility.
Hey, you had me at Spider-Man. I love that even a superhero can be a role model for Stoic living. So we've got the dichotomy of control, the four cardinal virtues role, ethics. It's all starting to come together. But what about when we're faced with those toxic personalities that seem determined to drain our energy?
And that's where the real test of our Stoic training comes in. And that's what we'll explore next.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork for building that inner strength, that Stoic citadel, as the videos call it.
Right.
But let's face it, the world can sometimes feel like a gladiator arena filled with negativity.
Yeah.
Especially when dealing with toxic people. How can Stoicism help us navigate those tricky situations?
So, before we even get into specific strategies, it's crucial to understand that toxic behavior often stems from the person's own inner turmoil.
Okay.
The Stoics have this concept called prohairesis,
Prohairesis.
which basically means our ability to choose our attitudes and judgments regardless of what's going on around us.
So someone's bad behavior is a reflection of their own choices, their own internal state, not necessarily a direct attack on me. That's a helpful way to reframe it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not about excusing their behavior, but recognizing that it's often a projection of their own unresolved issues. The Stoics encourage us not to take it personally.
It's like that saying, hurt people hurt people. But even if I understand that intellectually, it can still sting when someone is being toxic.
Right.
What are some practical things we can do to protect ourselves?
The videos highlight the importance of boundaries. Clear lines that define what you will and won't tolerate. This means being assertive, communicating your limits, and sticking to them.
It's about being the guardian of your own mental and emotional well-being, right?
Exactly.
Not letting someone else's negativity breach those walls.
Precisely. It's not about being aggressive or confrontational, but about being firm and clear about what you're willing to accept. And speaking of acceptance, the Stoics were big on accepting what we can't control, which includes other people's behavior.
But doesn't that sound a bit passive? Like we're just letting people walk all over us?
Not at all. It's about recognizing where your energy is best spent. You can't force someone to change their behavior, but you can control your reactions.
So it's about choosing how we respond rather than letting their negativity dictate our emotional state.
I like that. Are there any specific techniques for staying calm and composed when someone is pushing our buttons?
The videos mention a few that I found particularly helpful. One is the gray rock method. Have you heard of that one?
I have, but refresh my memory. It's about becoming emotionally unresponsive, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine yourself as a smooth gray rock.
Okay.
You offer no reaction, no drama, just neutrality. It disrupts the toxic person's attempts to hook you into their drama.
It's like saying, sorry, not playing your game.
Exactly. And if they try to engage you in manipulative arguments or guilt trips, the videos suggest using the broken record technique.
I've heard of this one too. It's about repeating your boundaries over and over again, right? Like a broken record.
Precisely, calmly, and consistently reiterate your limits. It can be surprisingly effective in shutting down those toxic patterns. Okay, so we've got boundaries, the gray rock method, the broken record technique. What about minimizing exposure altogether? Can Stoicism help us with that?
Absolutely. One of the key takeaways from the videos is that you don't have to subject yourself to constant negativity. If possible, limit your contact with toxic individuals, both physically and emotionally.
That makes sense. Sometimes creating distance is the healthiest option. But what about situations where you can't completely avoid them? Like a coworker or family member?
The videos suggest mental detachment as a powerful tool. It's not about being cold or uncaring, but about creating a healthy emotional distance.
So observing the negativity without getting swept away by it.
Exactly. You're not suppressing your emotions, but you're not letting them control you either. It takes practice, but it's a skill that can be incredibly liberating.
I can see that. It's like building a mental shield to deflect the negativity. But sometimes it feels like it's not just individuals who are toxic, it's the whole world.
Right.
The news is constantly bombarding us with negativity. Social media can be a minefield. How do we stay grounded in the face of all that?
That's where the Stoic emphasis on focusing on what's within our control becomes even more crucial.
Okay.
We can't control the news cycle, but we can control how we consume it.
So being mindful of our media intake, limiting exposure to things that are dragging us down.
Exactly. And choosing sources that are informative and helpful rather than just sensationalistic and anxiety-provoking.
It's like taking responsibility for our own mental diet.
I love that analogy.
Oh.
And speaking of feeding our minds, the videos talk about the importance of cultivating gratitude as a powerful antidote to negativity.
Okay, gratitude, that makes sense. It's hard to feel grateful and resentful at the same time.
Right. And the Stoics saw gratitude as a daily practice, a way of shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have.
So instead of dwelling on what's going wrong, we're actively looking for things to appreciate, big and small.
Exactly. It could be something as simple as a delicious cup of coffee in the morning, or the warmth of the sun on your skin.
Yeah.
The more we practice gratitude, the more we rewire our brains to notice and appreciate the good things in our lives.
It's like training our minds to see the world through a more positive lens. And I have to admit, sometimes I need a little help with that, especially when life throws those inevitable curveballs our way.
Well, the Stoics had some pretty powerful tools for dealing with loss and setbacks, too. One that really stood out to me in the videos is the idea of letting go of accepting that everything in life is temporary.
That's a tough one. We naturally want to hold on to the things we love, the people we care about, the experiences that bring us joy. It's hard to embrace the impermanence of it all.
It is. But the Stoics believed that clinging to what's already gone is a recipe for suffering. They saw change as a natural part of life, something to be accepted rather than resisted.
So it's not about pretending that loss doesn't hurt, but about acknowledging the reality of change and choosing to move forward without being weighed down by the past.
Exactly. And the videos highlight how liberating letting go can be. It frees us from the emotional burden of clinging to what was opening up space for new possibilities and growth.
It's like clearing out the clutter to make room for something new.
I like that. And speaking of clearing out clutter, the videos also emphasize the importance of setting clear priorities, of knowing what truly matters to us and focusing our energy on those things.
Oh, that is so relevant today. We're constantly bombarded with demands and distractions. It's so easy to feel scattered and lose sight of what's truly important.
Right. And the Stoics were all about living, intentionally making conscious choices about how we spend our time and energy.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, famously said, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it."
So we have more control than we realize. It's not the external events themselves, but our reactions to them that cause us suffering.
Exactly. And setting clear priorities helps us stay grounded amidst the chaos.
Oh.
It's about consciously choosing what deserves our time and energy and saying no to the things that don't align with our values and goals.
It's like having a mental filter blocking out the noise and focusing on what truly matters. But how do we actually determine what's truly important, especially when we're bombarded with so many demands and distractions?
The videos suggest taking some time for self-reflection. Ask yourself some key questions. What is truly worth my time and energy? What will I never regret giving my all to? What aligns with my deepest values and aspirations?
It's about getting really clear on our why, that driving force behind our actions.
Exactly. And once you have that clarity, everything else starts to fall into place. You become more intentional with your time, your energy, and your decisions.
Okay, so we're cultivating gratitude, practicing letting go, setting clear priorities. It feels like we're building a pretty solid foundation for emotional strength. But is there anything else we can do to fortify that Stoic citadel we talked about earlier?
There are definitely a few more powerful techniques we can explore. But I think we've covered enough ground for now. Let's save those for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, we are back and ready to round out our deep dive into Stoicism. We have covered a lot of ground, from dealing with toxic people to cultivating gratitude.
Yeah.
But there's still so much more to uncover.
You know, one thing that really struck me in these videos is that Stoicism isn't about becoming some emotionless robot.
Right.
It's about understanding and managing your emotions so they don't control you.
It's like we were talking about before, right? We're not trying to suppress our emotions, but rather become the conductor of our emotional orchestra.
Exactly. And speaking of conducting our emotions, one technique that the videos highlight is something called premeditatio malorum.
Premeditatio malorum.
It translates to the premeditation of evils.
Okay, That sounds a bit ominous. Are we talking about manifesting bad things here?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's actually a technique for building resilience. Think of it as a mental fire drill. You're not wishing for bad things to happen, but you're mentally preparing yourself for the possibility of challenges and setbacks.
So it's about acknowledging that life isn't always sunshine and roses and mentally preparing for those inevitable storms.
Exactly. By mentally rehearsing how we might react to those challenges, we actually reduce their power to shock or overwhelm us when they do occur.
Okay, so it's less about being pessimistic and more about being prepared.
Precisely. It's about taking control of our reactions by anticipating potential difficulties. It's like that saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst, but with a Stoic twist.
I like that. So instead of getting blindsided by a problem, we've already mentally walked through some possible solutions.
Exactly. The Stoics believe this practice actually increases our resilience. And you know, it reminds me of something else. The videos talk about negative visualization.
Okay, hold on. First, we are premeditating evils. Now we're visualizing negative things. I'm starting to feel a little anxious.
I hear you. The name can be a bit misleading. It's not about dwelling on negativity or expecting bad things to happen. It's actually a powerful gratitude practice.
Okay, now I'm really confused. How can visualizing negative things be a gratitude practice?
Think about it this way. What if you took a few moments to imagine losing some of the things you value most? Your health, your loved ones, your home. Not in a morbid way, just as a brief thought experiment.
Okay, I'm willing to try. But if I start crying, you are buying the tissues.
Deal. The idea is that by briefly contemplating the potential absence of these things, we actually gain a deeper appreciation for their presence in our lives right now.
So it's like a mental reset button for our gratitude. Instead of taking things for granted, we are reminded of how precious they are.
Exactly. It can be a powerful antidote to that feeling of entitlement or dissatisfaction that can creep into our lives.
I like that. It's like a reminder to savor the good things while we have them. Okay, so we've got premeditatio malorum negative visualization. Are you sensing a theme here too?
I am. These Stoic techniques are all about training our minds to respond effectively to life's ups and downs.
It's like we're assembling a mental toolkit for navigating those challenges.
Yeah.
But let's be real, sometimes it feels like those downs are more like emotional sinkholes.
I hear you. And there's one final Stoic practice I want to touch on that might help acceptance.
Okay, acceptance. But doesn't that sometimes feel like giving up?
It's not about giving up on taking action or striving for better. It's about accepting that there are things we simply cannot control, and that fighting against that reality only creates more suffering.
So it's about acknowledging what is without judgment or resistance.
Exactly. It's a practice, not a destination. And it can be incredibly freeing to release that struggle against what we cannot change.
You know, this whole conversation has really been a deep dive into not only Stoicism, but also self-awareness. It's about understanding our own thought patterns, reactions, and habits.
You have hit the nail on the head. Stoicism isn't just about memorizing quotes or concepts. It's about applying these ideas to our own lives. And that takes self-reflection and honesty.
It's about becoming more intentional with our thoughts, our actions, and our responses to the world around us.
Exactly. And that, my friend, is the essence of building true emotional strength.
Wow, what a journey this deep dive has been. From practical tips for dealing with toxic people to profound philosophical insights on navigating life's challenges, Stoicism really does offer a timeless toolkit for building resilience and finding inner peace.
I couldn't agree more. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
And to our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to explore the world of Stoicism further. You might just discover a wellspring of strength and wisdom you never knew you had.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep diving deep.